So in this video, I will be discussing why you should consider using LED lights for portrait photography and show you how I created these images. So hi everyone, this is Jiggie, a portrait and wedding photographer from the Philippines, and welcome to the channel. So before anything else, if you guys haven't subscribed to the channel and would want to learn more about off-camera flash photography or maybe just photography in general, then this channel is for you. So you might want to consider subscribing, and while you're at it, click that notification bell so that you get notified every time I upload a new video. And if you want to see more of my images, you could always follow me on Instagram. It's at Jiggie Alejandrino. So as I said in my intro, today I will discuss why I believe you should really consider using LED lights for indoor portrait photography work, and take you behind the scenes in one of my maternity shoots and show you how I use these lights to create the photographs that I showed you earlier. Now, what has been the biggest contention when it comes to using LED lights for portrait photography work? Well, number one, it was power. Number two, it was color consistency, or basically just the quality of light in general, because LED lights right now are the newest technology in terms of lighting. They used to be very expensive and very cumbersome to bring around. Well, also size was also consideration. I remember when I first tried using LED lights, the only lights that were available then that was of good quality were Kino Flows, and they were like this big and very, very expensive, and you couldn't really modify them properly. Then all of a sudden, in the past couple of years, Nanlite started really climbing up the ladder and started creating fantastic lights. Like for example, this one, the Nanlite Forza 60B. Oh, by the way, I am in no way connected with Nanlite. I just love their products. That's why I've been using them a lot. They are not paying me to create this video, nor am I endorsing their product. I'm basically just a user enjoying whatever it is that I can get my hands on. So I was talking about this one. This is a Nanlite Forza 60B. This is 60 watts, a bicolor light. Basically, it's enough for you to be able to get a lot of good, powerful light sunset onwards. In other words, sunset till evening. This is actually very good already. Then you have here this one, the Nanlite Forza 300B, which is another bicolor light, but this time it's 300 watts. So these two lights are both can be powered via battery, and at the same time they can be powered via AC outlet. So it's very easy for you to use it in the studio or bring it out in the field. However, of course, power-wise, these things are still not as powerful as flash. Maybe this 300 watt is just equivalent to your speed light. However, it is very easy to use. That's why I am saying you should really consider using LED lights for studio work, because it just makes life so much easier. And let me show you what I mean. So you see here, I shot a maternity shoot, and in a span of 2 hours, I was able to do about 4 layouts, or even more actually, but I'm just going to show you about 4 or 5, I think. So as you can see here, I have my 300B here on a 120 cm Octabank, and I have here my Forza 60B on the Lantern 60 modifier, well, Lantern 60 softbox. The nice thing about LED lights is that what you see is what you get. In other words, once you set your light and you see how the light is falling, when you take a photo, that's exactly how it's going to look like. Unlike flash photography, that you will only really see the final output after you click that shutter. Another big advantage of using LED lights, if you're shooting a certain scene. In other words, for me as a wedding photographer, it is so helpful that my assistant photographer can actually benefit from my artificial lighting. So as you can see here, I just had my light here and a light here, and this was my output. Now you could see the beautiful light coming from the Nanlite Forza 300B here on the left side, and my kicker light here, the Nanlite Forza 60B. Now I shot everything with my Sony a7R Mark IV and an 85mm 1.2 or 1.4 GM, and some shots I shot with a 50mm 1.2 GM. But you could see here that I was able to actually remove all existing ambient light because of the power of this LED lights. In a small room with no windows or very little light, these things would really work wonders. And again, it is so easy to use. All you have to do is point the light and that's it. But what if, let's say for example, you want to use it in relation to your existing ambient light. You could see here, that's exactly what I did. I had this one, the Forza 60B, and another beautiful product from Nanlite. This is their projection mount. What the projection mount does is that it makes this light a bit stronger, and at the same time, you could project patterns. So what I did was that since I was really not getting any light coming from this window to create the pattern that I wanted, I decided to use my Nanlite Forza 60B here and projected the pattern. Now here's the nice thing about this projection mount. It's either you could use it to project a pattern in the wall or use it to supplement something that's not there. In other words, like how I used it here. Well, this projection mount, by the way, connects here with my Nanlite Forza 60B. This is a mini Bowens mount, okay? As you can see, the light coming from here in the window, it wasn't really giving me the pattern that I wanted. So I decided to put in a pattern here in the projection mount and basically just project it here and make it seem as if everything was coming from the window right here. And the nice thing about this is that, again, I can't stress it enough. What you see is what you get. In other words, I made my light stronger to match that of my existing ambient light, and everything that I saw in my viewfinder is exactly what you are seeing now that I am showing you. Next, now I had again the 300B here now because I wanted a stronger light, and with a 120 cm behind them, I used it as a backlight to be able to create an image like this. Again, all of these things I could just see in my camera, and I would just adjust my exposure to how I want it to look, and it was that simple. Every single layout was just 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, or 10 minutes here. You know, it was even harder for us to change, or it took us longer to change outfits rather than for us to actually shoot. Next, again, I had the 300B here, and I just put the 120 cm as a normal 45-degree light. And here's another thing. Always look above, below, left, and right for interesting things that you can actually use for your shoot. In this case, this was actually a floor mat or a rug that I saw somewhere here, and I decided to use it as a background to match whatever it is that she was wearing, and this was the actual output of that particular scene. Now, this one was shot with the 85 300B 1/250 f2 ISO 100. And lastly, again, I was talking about this one, the Nanlite Forza 60B with a projection mount to project a pattern on the wall. And also I used the 300B here to create that overall main light to be able to shoot this image. Now, the first shot that I did, you could see that the pattern was really well defined here. The shadows were all well defined. It turned out okay, but personally, I felt I wanted it a little bit softer. And that is a nice thing about this projection mount. You see the knob here? You can actually adjust the focus, which is basically what I did here. And by doing that, I was able to soften up the shadows and create that beautiful portrait that I was looking for. Okay? So, that is why I really believe that you should consider using continuous lights or LED lights like this for portrait photography. Number one, it is so easy to use. Number two, because of it's easy to use, it's what you see is what you get. Number three, the technology is there now that it is sort of affordable, but very consistent and pretty powerful. To be honest, I don't really see any problems with using these lights indoor. The only problem that I would see is when you want to be able to control the sun outdoor. It's still not strong enough, or it's still not as portable as, of course, your speed lights and all the other flash units. And the flash units are still a little bit cheaper than these LED lights. However, when it comes to supplementing light indoor, using it for nighttime photography or very dramatic portraits at night, or for using it for nighttime photography, I wouldn't trade this for speed lights because these things are bicolor. And since they're bicolor, it's very easy for me to actually adjust the color temperature to match the color of this light to my existing ambient light. And I don't really need the power, especially if I am shooting at night. Okay, so that's why, again, consider this. They may be expensive or maybe a little bit more expensive than your normal flash unit, but honestly worth the price, especially this one, the Nanlite Forza 60B. Get the bicolor version if ever you're thinking of getting one. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please do consider subscribing to the channel. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Now, if you guys want to learn more about off-camera flash photography, lighting in general, or photography, I do hold one-on-one online workshops, the details of which I will put in the description below. And if you want to see more of my images, feel free to follow me on Instagram. It's at Jiggie Alejandrino. Okay? Till the next video.